Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching today. I know there's all kinds of content out there that you can be checking out and watching, and so the fact that you took a few minutes to watch one of my videos means so much to me. So thank you. And to those of you who have been subscribing, the numbers are increasing and just, I don't know, surprising me. I'm beyond belief at how quickly things are growing. So a very special thank you to you. Today, I'm super excited. I have Robbie and Kaylee from That Horror Couple on. Thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having us.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you. Before we get started with anything, of course, I want you guys to take a few minutes to promote your channel and talk about what you have going on there. And then I have a question for you.
Okay, great. So we're That Horror Couple on YouTube. We usually review like the newer horror movies that are out in the theater. We also do like Walking Dead TV show recaps on our page, trailer breakdowns, and we also recently started a members page for $2.99 a month where we give exclusive videos that are only available to our members. We do like all of our trailer reactions. We put them on our members page. So if that's something anybody's interested in, then definitely check it out.
Yes, everybody should sign up because I need money.
Yeah.
Hey, how long ago did you guys start the members page? Is that pretty new?
2 months, yes.
That's fairly new.
Yeah.
But we got like a handful of people, and it's been pretty cool so far.
It's been fun to make the extra videos. So we enjoy it.
We appreciate the support and the gas money, and the little bit
to
of money
get us to the theater.
Yeah, it gets us to the theater. There you go.
Very cool.
So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll check that out as well. I think, in fact, I actually was just looking. I was going to look to see if you guys had one just a couple of days ago, and right as I started looking, my phone rang, and I never got back to it. So I'll go check it out for sure. Yeah. You also said you guys do stuff on The Walking Dead. Now, I did not know you did that. So is that still ongoing, or have you wrapped that up?
We're still working on it. We're actually a little bit behind, and this week we're going to catch up on Dead City.
To our credit, though, we're one of the only people that like still watch The Walking Dead. So,
any of our friends like on YouTube. I think we're the only ones that
everybody
that
I try to talk to, they're like,
talk about it on YouTube.
Stop watching, bro.
I know it's like a long the show's been on since 2010, and now they're doing the spinoffs. But I think the spinoffs are great. We really enjoy. We still love it. So
the spinoffs,
we try to keep up with it, but it gets a little hard to keep up with like a weekly TV show. So we're having to catch up on like 4 episodes this week and like try to make 2 combo videos out of that.
When there's stuff in theaters, and then we're doing like we're collabing with friends, and then there's a weekly show, we fall behind sometimes
a little bit, but we'll catch up.
we got to catch up on that. But I think like the spin-off shows, it seems like they have like a movie feel, like they have like a big budget.
Very cinematic, like with the imagery and everything.
I'm just like, wow, this is a movie, dude. It's like Daryl's in Paris. Yeah. It just looks incredible. I'm like, this is crazy, man.
Well, I think that's really cool that you guys do that because it's funny. I absolutely love The Walking Dead. And I still go back. I've probably seen, the original, all seasons 1 through 11, like 5 times. And I still just periodically go back and start all over and start watching it again. And I've actually been thinking about, I think I even mentioned it on a past episode. I've been thinking about starting back at the beginning and going through it again and just randomly on Saturdays popping up and talking about a season. And I've been hesitant a little bit because I'm like, I'm not sure if anybody even watches this show anymore, but I love it and it's fun to me. So I may just do it anyway for some extra. So find somebody else that's talking about it and doing it. I think that's super cool. I still love The Walking Dead. So
we do too, and you should definitely do that.
I think we just found a new friend. We found a new friend to talk about.
We did. I know. We only talk to each other about it.
We have that guy J-Dev.
Yeah, J-Dev's awesome. A friend of ours, J-Dev. He does the recaps weekly on YouTube of the show as well. That's right, J-Dev does.
It seems like a lot of people fell off from watching the show though, and if you go back to the early episodes, they're great and they're classic, but you don't see too many zombies, you don't see too many battles. The new stuff, there's like
you can tell they have a big
there's a war going on every episode. It's like Rambo, dude. It's crazy. Like, so I feel like if people like the old stuff, they'll love this. But like the thing about Walking Dead is if you miss a few episodes, you completely lost on the storyline.
Right.
So, and there's a lot of filler episodes with just sitting and talking. So if you come into it at random, you're like, oh, this sucks. This is boring. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't know what they're talking about, then they're just sitting around talking. It's like it's like friends at the coffee house. You're like, what am I watching, bro?
No, I completely agree. Did you guys do or are you doing like Fear the Walking Dead as well? Are you going to include it, or have you already started with it?
We started watching.
We'd never seen Fear, and we started.
Good.
We started watching. We've seen the first 2 seasons. We need to jump back on that.
I hear
finish it.
I hear there's like Dwight and there's Morgan.
Morgan's
there's
there
crossover
too,
characters now. And,
we
a little bit later on.
We have to that. You reminded us. We have to get back on that. We have to watch it.
There was no reason why I stopped. I was
like, got sidetracked.
I was just really into it. I must have got distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like all of them, and you're right. I think Morgan comes on first, but I think it's maybe not to like the 5th or 6th season, if I remember correctly. I might be a little bit off, but yeah, then Dwight and Sherry are both in there, and so yeah, they do a little bit of crossover stuff here and there. But yeah, I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. I'm gonna have to ask you guys one more question about it now, and try not to turn this into a Walking Dead show. But who's your favorite character? I have to know this.
I'm a Daryl guy.
I'm a Rick girl.
Okay. I always was, even before. If you remember the early episodes, Daryl was kind of like a side character. It was about Rick and Shane. It was Rick, Shane, and Glenn, and like Daryl was like kind of like off to the side with like his brother, and like. But even back then, I'm like, that guy's cool. I always just thought he just had a cool like presence about him. So. Right. I'm a Daryl guy.
Yeah.
This is like even before his hair was all grown out in his face, like Kurt Cobain or something. Yeah. But
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Who are you?
I love Rick. Yeah, I love Rick and Michonne. I loved Glenn, but I had to pick someone else to be my favorite after that. So of course Rick. I just think he's a great main lead. Like I loved the spinoff with him and Michonne.
The Rick Michonne spinoff was
fantastic. My favorite one. It was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Well,
I like Daryl and Rick. I won't. With that being who you guys named, I'm going to keep my favorite character to myself. I won't mention that, so we don't have an issue. But I do like Daryl and Rick both, actually. So
you could spill the beans.
Well, so when I first watched the series, when it was actually current and coming on every week, it took me a little bit I thought it was okay. But then somewhere along, I think it was actually when COVID was going on, was the first time I went back and did a rewatch. And for some reason, that rewatch, I loved it so much more. And then, like I said, I've probably seen it 4 or 5 times since then. But I've developed not my favorite character, but I've developed a little bit of an appreciation for Shane. I kind of wish we would have got to see Shane more. I understand why we didn't, but I wish we would have got to see Shane more. And after the initial shock of everything that went down in, I think it was season 6, I'm a Negan guy now.
Yes.
I know he was horrible in the beginning, but he's just so damn funny, first of all. Yeah. That's what was slowly winning me over. And he does have, some character arc later on. So now when I go back and watch it, I'm like, man, I hate the fact that he killed Abraham and Glenn, but I really like Negan.
He's really likable now. I totally agree.
With the character of Shane, he was just so like he took no crap, and he was so like aggressive, and he was so like he was a good leader, Shane. And I always thought like, it would have been interesting to me to see Shane go up against the governor, or Shane go up against, or Shane facing off with Negan, having a war of like them mouthing off to each other. That would have been very interesting to me to see. Two hot-headed guys, like just what I mean. Because there's been certain times I'm like, Shane wouldn't have put up with this. I'm like,
I was kind of bummed when his character was. I know why, obviously. I mean,
it was straight out of the comics.
Had to happen.
Yeah, it was straight out of the comics.
Yeah, that too. But I liked his character a lot, and like you said, I feel like we could have used him later on.
Yeah, well, he wasn't necessarily. After about 2 or 3 times through it, I started realizing he's not necessarily wrong in a lot of the things that he says, and I started thinking that Lori was more of the issue than Shane. It's kind of the way I was looking at it, but yeah, that's just my take on it. She might have been the problem. So anyway,
I could see that.
Yeah. All right. One more question, and then we will get started. So, since this is you guys' first time on my channel, what got you both into horror? Have you just always been a horror fan? Was there some, like one particular movie that did it for you? What got you into horror?
You want to go or should I?
Sure. When I was like really young, I watched like Jaws and Jurassic Park, like, 5, 6 years old. And I was totally obsessed with like creature feature. I wanted to watch all the Jaws sequels, when the Jurassic Park sequels came out, went to go see those. And when I became a teenager, I'd go every weekend that whatever slasher, like mid 2000s, like horror film was in the theater, I would want to go see it. So I guess it's always been kind of consistent, but I didn't start collecting until I was like in my 20s. I started collecting like the figures, the Funkos, and the Blu-rays. But yeah, it's always been pretty a part of my life.
Yeah. The first movie I saw that I wasn't supposed to was at a sleepover when I was about 10. My buddy had a bunch of VHS tapes. Most of them were comedies for kids our age, but Halloween 1978 was in that mix. So we were trying to be cool, badass kids. We're like, let's watch a horror movie, right? So we watched Halloween. And it's Halloween. It's scary. It's Michael Myers.
Right.
But the ending was crazy for me because being a kid, you're so used to the bad guys getting caught, evil being punished.
Right.
And Loomis shoots him off the balcony, and then he's gone. Yeah. And the credits roll, and me being a kid, I'm like, wait, the bad guy's still out there? I'm like, and maybe it's just being a young kid. I was like, that can happen. Yeah. I'm like, is that allowed? I'm like, wait, that's the end of the movie, and that stuck with me for some reason. And I was always into music. Like growing up later on, like in my teens and 20s, I was into music and always finding out about different bands. And I found out that like movies are the same way. There's like underground movies. There's there's out of print movies, and I was really into like adding to my collection of films. I was like, oh, this is out of print, or this is rare, or this, like, not many people know about this film. And it just, there's so many branches on like the horror tree. You can keep going. And I became obsessed. I was collecting bootlegs. I was online trying to find like rare, the rarer the better, or like
you showed me a movie one time called like Swingers Massacre.
It's a great movie.
It's like a 70s like filmed on a camcorder horror movie.
1975, yeah. So
so
I remember that. I was like, I'm gonna bring you a bunch of movies I know you never saw, because I had all these like weird movies that sometimes the title would just stand out to me. I'm like, that sounds weird, so I would just get that. So I mean, and I also liked how horror is very true to the story, especially when you get into a series. A lot of times they just pick up where the last film left off.
Right.
It take all the Friday 13th. The early ones take place like a day.
They connect very well.
They take place like a day. They take place a day apart. It's good to just pop one in after the other.
Right.
Especially if you're just chilling at home. It's a good way to pass time, or it's a good Friday night popcorn thing to do.
I completely agree.
I guess something about seeing Michael Myers at 10 years old, and then later on finding out how you can get so deep into the rabbit hole of collecting. Both those got me into it. And then when social media hit, I was finding all these friends that were like doing like at conventions, doing the same stuff I was doing. And that's how I met Kaylee. Kind of, we were talking about movies.
Oh wow, okay.
And we were friends first, and then she was like really into me. Like she just really wanted me, and so it worked out.
Here we are.
It worked out. So
all right. Well, and you're also humble, so I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Just telling you how it is, man.
Yeah, that's all right. I completely get it. That's okay. All right. No, very cool. I just like hearing how what it is that sparks people to get into horror. I agree with you. I think the horror community is absolutely amazing, a bunch of people, and that did a lot for me as well as far as getting into it. So I agree with you guys there.
And if you're a collector, there's unlimited ways you can go about this. You can collect shirts, you can collect the figures behind us, you can collect and like the movies. There's also different versions of movies. Like I remember
like steelbooks.
Halloween 6, there's a producer's cut, and it was impossible to find for years. And I remember nowadays it's so easy. You just go on eBay. But back before that, I had to track it down at like a convention from some vendor, and I had it on I had it on a burnt disc, and I thought I was so cool. I'm like, I got the producer's cut, man.
That is cool.
Yeah, dude. But I miss the thrill of like finding something rare. I think it's so easy nowadays. I remember I had to go to conventions to find stuff, or like like movie bootleggers to find certain horror films.
Right.
it was like a hit or miss, but like the thrill when you finally got something was like hell yeah, dude. So
yeah, very cool. I agree, and I just became a collector in the last couple of years. And you're right. There's so many things that it was a little overwhelming at one point. I had to come up with the system to help me get started because it was just there was so much out there, and I try to get a little bit of everything. I've got movies, different on different formats. I've got Funko Pops, I've got figures, I've got movie posters, I've got coffee mugs. There's stuff all around my house. My entire house is decorated in horror. But yeah, it's very cool.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, if you guys
pretty much
same
here.
thing.
I'm looking around. Yeah.
Well, and like I said, I have OCD, so I have to be able to get things in some kind of order a little bit. And I was just so overwhelmed when I first started trying to collect and do all these things that, and slashers are my favorite. I like all kinds of horror movies, but I'm a huge slasher guy. Me too. So I ended up very similar to before we came on, how I was telling you guys I came up with how I come up with the movies I'm going to review. I was like, okay, there's so much stuff. I got to start somewhere. So I just made a small list of like my favorite slashers, right? And then randomly selected one to kind of focus on. And so now I have probably more Freddy was at the top of the list there. So I probably have more Freddy stuff than anything. But I mean, if I'm somewhere and I see Michael or Jason or Chucky, I'm going to get it. I just try to concentrate on Freddy. I don't really Freddy stuff. I'll look up online and order it if I can. The other guys just, if I run into them at a store somewhere or something like that, I pick it up. But yeah, everybody assumes that Freddy is my favorite when they come into my house because it looks like it's a Freddy place, but he's really not my favorite. That's just where I started. So.
Right.
Well, Freddy's really popular. A lot of people love him. So.
Well, yeah. Well, there's also like, I'm a slasher guy too, and there's also something so brilliant about just the simplicity of like a simple story. Mm-hmm. Like you get a crew of people, you get one guy coming after them, right? And like you can literally just turn off your brain and have fun for the next 90 minutes and not worry about nothing. And the story's not that hard to follow. You could just have fun. There's something so brilliant but genius about the blueprint of like slasher. Like it's just I just love the
simple formula, but it works.
Yeah, maybe there's a twist that you gotta. There might be a twist you got to pay attention for, but most of the time you can just have fun.
Pretty easy. Follow,
it's not like, it's just it just works with me too. It just works so well with me.
I agree. And the fact that you were saying it's fun, I think that's why, because I've been in conversations with different people before, even on my channel here, and there are some movies that are highly regarded movies, and everybody absolutely loves them. That might be, a slow burn or something a little bit different. And it's not that I dislike it. It's fine. I just don't like it as well as most people because it's just not quite my thing. Mm-hmm. But like you said, slashers are so much fun. And that's the main thing I want out of a horror movie is let me shut my brain off. Let's get away from the real world because that's actually what's terrifying. And let's just have fun watching this. And that's, I think, why slashers are my favorite.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you guys ready to get started talking about A Quiet Place?
Yes.
All right. Good. I just rewatched this. I've seen it a couple of times before, but I just rewatched it the last couple of days to kind of take some notes and be ready for this. I know you said you guys just rewatched it as well. So, anytime you have something you want to interject, feel free. I'm going to read just a few things here real quick about the film. Quick overview. From the Rotten Tomatoes website says, if they hear you, they hunt you. A family must live in silence to avoid mysterious creatures that hunt by sound. Knowing that even the slightest whisper or footstep can bring death, Evelyn and Lee are determined to find a way to protect their children while desperately searching for a way to fight back. The film was released March 9th, 2018 at the South by Southwest Film Festival, and then April 6th, 2018 throughout the U.S. Directed by John Krasinski. Screenplay by Brian Woods, Scott Beck, and John Krasinski. Story by Brian Woods and Scott Beck. Produced by Michael Bay, Andrew Form, and Brad Fuller. Cinematography done by Charlotte Brewis Christensen. Edited by Christopher Telesfon. Music by Marco Beltrami. Production companies Platinum Dooms and Sunday Night Productions. Distributed by Paramount Pictures. 90-minute runtime, $17 million budget, $341 million at the box office, so a huge success. Rotten Tomatoes score is also very high, 96% from critics and an 83% from the audience. IMDb score of 7.5 out of 10. Cast real quick, I'm just going to name a few names. It's not a huge cast in this film. Emily Blunt as Evelyn, John Krasinski as Lee, Noah Jupe as Marcus, Millicent Simmons as Reagan, and briefly Cade Woodward as Bo. Before we go any further, what are you guys' thoughts on the cast and the characters? Just performance-wise, characters in general, that kind of thing for this.
I love the whole family. I thought they really seemed like a real family, and I love all their chemistry together without being able to actually speak the entire most of the movie. Just they're talking back and forth with sign language, but just the acting, like in their expressions and just how they can convey those emotions without even actually having to say anything. I think they nailed it. They were amazing, and my heart went out to them every time I rewatch this. I'm like, oh, it hurts every time because you get so invested so quickly in the characters.
And you definitely you got the feeling that these characters, like you cared for them right away. You got that family feeling, especially with the girl not being able to hear. And just the way this film scared you was different than how you're used to being scared, at least for me. Like the silence right off the bat, like, was just uncomfortable for me. But like, it made you, it forced you to like lean in and pay attention to everything that was going on. It forced you to read all the subtitles on the screen. It drew your attention in so well. But just when the littlest thing happened, or like you heard, finally when you did hear a sound, it made you just do one of those, like, damn, So this film was so brilliant in that way, kind of like, and same with the creatures. I don't feel like they overexposed the creatures. Kind of like the shark and the shark and Jaws. They used it sparingly, until the end.
Made it more scary.
At first they're killing off raccoons, and they're going off after different things, and you see like a quick cut, an arm, or you see like a piece of the alien or the creature, and then and you're like, oh, these things look so freaking weird too, dude. They're just so weird.
Like a Demogorgon.
I just want to know more.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to know more about these, but just where this film started. I also like the apocalyptic world they live in. They're in the store, and you get the sense right away. They need supplies, they need food, they need medication, and it's not easy to come by, and literally they're tiptoeing. Like they cannot make a sound. I don't know if being deaf is a disadvantage or an advantage here. Maybe it might be an advantage.
I think it was somewhat of an advantage because they could all speak to each other before
I'm saying, happened, but for the deaf girl, maybe she senses vibration. Maybe she senses other things a little more than
Right.
So I'm thinking, or maybe the sign language was why this family survived longer than others. They can communicate with their hands. I mean,
it could. I agree. I think it definitely gave them an advantage. And as far as her, I'm not sure. I mean, there are times I feel like it gave her an advantage. There's one scene, and we'll get to it here in a little bit there, where she's kind of in the cornfield, and the one creature's coming up behind her, and she doesn't seem to have any idea that that one's sneaking up on her. So at that point, I'm like, oh, maybe not being able to hear is not an advantage after all, because she doesn't even realize what could be about to happen if it hadn't been for the hearing aid issues. So but I do think it helped the family. I think that you were right on. I think the sign language was probably why they did survive. And without having the sound, this is a movie that performances are so critical because you don't get a lot of that sound and everything else. And I agree with you. I think everybody did an amazing job. All four of them were incredible. I had known John Krasinski just from The Office at that point. And I really wasn't a huge Office fan. I mean, it's fine. My brother liked it. My oldest son liked it. But I just kind of was hitting, a few episodes were funny. Some of it, I was like, yeah, whatever, not that big a deal. But I knew him as Jim. And that was part of what drew me into this film. I'm like, really, Jim's going to do horror? Like, I need to see this to see if he can actually pull this off. But I was incredibly impressed. I thought they all did an amazing job.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so too.
And because these actors and actresses couldn't rely on their dialogue so much, it was all in their facial expressions. It was all in their body language. That it was kind of like, they had to communicate with the viewer in a different way. And I thought that's a challenge, I think, for the actors.
Yeah.
And I feel like they totally killed it. Like, especially that one thing where he was telling the door not to make a noise down in the basement. He's like, come on, please, please, please. Like, you could see he was like really, it was like written all over his face at certain points. I was like,
Yeah, they pull you in. They make you feel like you're right there with them, really, to a degree. So, couple of other things I'll mention real quick. So I mentioned Brian Woods and Scott Beck were the guys that wrote the screenplay. They developed the concept for the film in January 2016 while they were in college. And once they started trying to get it out there, they immediately told Platinum Dunes that they wanted Emily Blunt for the role of the mother. They really weren't concerned about who else got cast, but they wanted her. Film was nominated for multiple awards, and Emily Blunt won the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor. This was briefly considered by Paramount to do some type of a crossover with the Cloverfield franchise. Kind of glad that didn't happen. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on that were, but I'm kind of glad we didn't go that route.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen Cloverfield. I have to revisit it, but I like this better than Cloverfield. Because I've watched this many more times. I've only seen Cloverfield once or twice.
Crossovers are always interesting to me, but I just always wonder, is that going to work? You always have that feeling like interesting, but will that work? I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree. One other thing I'll mention before we actually get into the plot was when John Krasinski was reading for the role of the father, he began coming up with ideas that he would like to see done. And so he met with the producers as well as the writers and expressed his desire to co-write and direct. Everybody loved what his ideas were. Primarily, his contributions were introducing the sign language that we talked about. They didn't have that in the original script. The sand paths that they walked on, the lights around the house, and even the whole opening scene of the walk to the pharmacy were not in what the two guys originally wrote. Krasinski came up with all of that. And he also provided motion capture for the creatures, which I thought was very cool that he was that involved in this film. He literally did everything on this movie, it sounds like.
That is so cool.
He went the extra mile. This guy. Wow.
I knew he was involved, but I didn't know he was that involved.
This is the guy from the Office.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so he was literally in the office.
Yeah.
Like being like,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's some ideas, guys. Give me a pen.
Pretty much.
He's just writing down some stuff.
And apparently he was, as he was thinking all these things, he was talking to his wife, Emily Blunt, about it. And she's the one that he couldn't decide whether he should actually mention any of this or not, like his ideas and asked to direct, that kind of thing. But she encouraged him to do so. And I'm glad she did, because his ideas are huge parts of this film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
I really didn't know that he was that involved. And it's like he did stuff that he really didn't have to do. Like he really, like, I feel like
he stepped up.
He wanted this to be the best film it could be, which is really cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, so we'll start getting into the plot here a little bit. My listeners know I kind of break it down into sections, and so I've done that again here, and we're just going to kind of touch on a few things as we go through it a little bit. We'll start with talking about just the introduction, the opening scene of the film. What we've already talked about performances and how great that they were. One of the things that I wanted to point out, you've already mentioned, Robbie, was I love the fact that we don't see much of the monster at all for quite some time. We get just a very quick shot when it first gets to one little kid, and then just a few things here and there. But as you said, like Jaws, I think that's a huge plus for this movie, the way they did things that way. What were you guys' thoughts on the opening scene? The first time you saw it, and then when you rewatched it again, does it still have that same effect on you?
Yeah, Rob, I think Rob forgot when it opened up yesterday. He's like, "Oh, he's cute. What a cute family." And I'm like, "Oh, like I don't think he remembers this part."
I thought the little boy, I'm like, "Oh, that kid's
he's
cute.
He's adorable." And I'm like, "Oh." It still like hurts the beginning, even though we've seen it a few times. It's like I dread that part of it, but once it's over, I'm like, okay.
Why do you give your kid a damn like spaceship toy?
Why was he last in the line of the like? Why was he last?
I was
he should have been in the middle.
Same thing.
Noisy toys not allowed. Noisy toys.
Well, they thought he put it back, and then the sister, I guess, gave it back to him. It's not her
gave
fault.
Him the toy, and then he picked up the batteries. So that's how he had the toy. But I was wondering the same thing. Like, why is this small kid at the back of the line? Like, that makes no sense to me.
He's in between, like the mom and dad, or the brother and the dad. Like, I don't get that.
Right? You mentioned that. We don't see too much of these creatures, but I also feel like there was also no explanation given of what these are, where they come from, what the hell's going on. I think we're couple sequels in, and I still don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, and just the unknown is just really scary. It just forces you to be like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Like you know, like seriously, like, and I mentioned earlier, just the highs and lows of the sounds in this movie were so effective, forcing you to listen in, forcing you to pay attention, making you scared of like a pin drop, making you scared of like, you know, and
the slightest like drop of an object.
Dude, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a bearded man in the woods. Anyone can screw this up for you, you know. So and I think it's another topic coming up, but oh man, it's scary enough having kids, but like in this world, oh dude. So
no, I completely agree. And yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I remember the first time I saw this in the theater, actually jumping, you know, when the alien comes out and grabs the kid. Bo, I think is his name. But even now, even though I remembered it and knew it was coming, I still thought it was powerful when I rewatched it a couple of days ago. And you know, as soon as he makes the noise with the little spaceship, like I said, I've seen this several times. I know what's happening, but I'm watching this in my house and the spaceship goes off and I'm like, oh, fuck.
You know, it's such a sad scene.
It was hard. It was hard to see, but you know what? It got me thinking, if this film went there immediately and took out a 4-year-old boy, they're not afraid. They're not afraid to take out anybody. Like right away, they made it known nobody is safe. We'll take out the daughter. We'll take out we'll take it if we're gonna hurt the little boy. We'll take out anybody. Like this film's not afraid to go there. You know what I mean? Like they
because we really didn't get much of that back then. We get it a little more now here and there, but back then it definitely didn't happen. So yeah, the fact that they went there so fast really kind of told you what you were in for.
Yeah, it was hard to watch, but I think it was
very effective.
It was a genius move because they're like, if we take out the boy, nobody's safe, and that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, yo, there might be no survivors, you know?
Right.
Like it's very possible. There might, you know, everybody might be screwed.
Yeah, I completely agree. Next thing we'll get into is, you know, once now this has happened, we're kind of a year down the road. We see that Evelyn is pregnant. I already have a question there, but I'll come back to it here in just actually, no, I'm going to mention it to you right now. So if you guys were in that situation and you had already lost one child due to this, isn't that a huge risk? Like, would you have been willing to do that? I don't think I could have. I don't think I would have allowed that to happen again.
No,
I would have prevented it. I would have tried to prevent it.
They were at a drugstore. They could have got some condoms. I don't know.
That is true.
Yeah, they were right there, bro. You were next to the pills. They're always right next to the pills.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you saw the length that they had to go to. They had to build like a box with an oxygen mask and all this stuff. Right? I mean,
they were smart with the safety precautions.
And I was watching them. Like,
I wouldn't want to do that.
I was like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Like he had to like. They really had to think this out for like she had it like circled on the calendar, like her.
They figured out when the due date was.
Her due date, and then the father had to put on a 4th of July show exactly when the water broke. It's like, and then he had to create a diversion so you could throw the baby in a box and give him some oxygen. I'm like, this is a lot to do. I mean, most people just post some pictures on Facebook and they're like, hey, we had a kid and it's a nice thing. I mean, a little bit different.
Yeah, they were definitely going that extra mile and making the plans, which, I mean, that's fine. We kind of see how everybody's dealing with the loss of the little boy that got taken. You know, the daughter, I think, feels somewhat responsible. Both the parents struggling in their own way. We also see Lee working a lot with the computers, trying to get some help, doing the whole SOS thing, trying to create the hearing aid for his daughter. During this section, before we kind of really move into much more happening, you know, when Lee and Marcus go on the fishing trip and Evelyn starts to go into labor, do you feel like the film drug it all, or do you think that you were invested enough and the performances were strong enough that you were still good with it?
I feel like this film is really well paced. I feel like it is very entertaining. If there's a slow part, I'm uncomfortable the whole time anyway. I'm definitely not bored. So but that's the thing. We were kind of finding out everything as it was happening. So there was no time to like, it wasn't like, let me tell you a story. It wasn't like that with this film. It was like, hey, this is the story. Try to keep up, and you were forced to keep up as the viewer. So
yeah, I didn't think it had any slow parts, and if there were slow parts, like you mentioned, you were kind of on edge anyway because anything could fall, make a noise, and there's the alien. So
this film was so intense that I guess the fishing trip was a slow part, but it was so effective and different and refreshing to see the scene where they were hanging out by the waterfall and they could finally make noise. And I believe that's one of the first times we hear dialogue. So like just to hear, and for me, just to hear a conversation, it's like refreshing. You're like, oh dude. So
they're
like,
talking.
Technically it's a slow part, but it's like, dude, this is so nice after all the crap we've just seen. Like, it's effective and it's a good yin to the yang, or it's a good balance. It's an excellent balance, I think. And that fishing trip scene, I really like that one. I really like that. It was like a good, like a father-son moment, and it kind of set the stage for later with the rules, like hey, we can make noise if around us is louder noise around us, and it kind of like set the stage for like, so as a viewer you're like, okay,
we're learning along with the little boy.
You're like, okay, so you don't have to be completely silent if there's like fireworks, for example, or like
water, really loud water.
So
no, I agree with you guys 100%. I haven't really heard too many people say much negative about this film, but there are a couple of people I know that are not fans of this movie, and that's one of the things they brought up is they thought that there was a part there beginning to middle of the movie that drug. I didn't think so. I think for me the performances are so good that I think that keeps you going, and like you said, you're learning along with them. And even the whole, the father son, the waterfall thing. I mean, this kid, he's doing a great job as well, because he seems so terrified when his dad's trying to explain to him that it's okay, to make noise right now. So I think even though there wasn't monster attacks, it still had me fully engaged. I don't think there's a part of this film that drags. I mean, it's only got a runtime of 90 minutes. It's only, it's an hour and a half long. There's not a moment in there where I thought it was dragging at all myself. No. So
it felt like half of that for me. Like it felt like 45 minutes. This movie felt like 40 minutes to me. Like it was really,
it goes by so quick.
I was just so entertained the whole time, like
right. They, of course, they start to head back. We have the man there that's, we find out his wife has been killed. And so we kind of get a lot of back and forth stuff here now, that guy's screaming. At the same time, the mom, she's going into labor. She steps on the nail and makes the noise, attracting the aliens. Flips the lights on. They do the whole firework thing. And so, when I was watching this a couple of days ago, and we're kind of going through this part, which is really setting up for these, last few final battles, I was thinking the same thing you were talking about, just how prepared they were for everything. I listened to, so whenever I get ready to do a review, I watch the movie at least once. Sometimes if I have time, I try to watch it twice to make sure I've really caught everything. And then I may go back and see if anyone else that I follow, YouTube videos or podcasts or whatever has done a review, just to kind of see what they have to say on it. And I heard some people saying that a lot of this stuff was a stretch and doesn't really make sense. I didn't get that feeling either. I thought they were just incredibly prepared. But again, not a part that I think drags. I think that the labor scene is pretty intense when she steps on the nail and then, trying to hide in the bathtub. When the old man is screaming out in the woods and, the father, John Krasinski, is freaking out and trying to save his kid. I still feel like there's just so much, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but it's just so tense. Even though I've seen this movie, 4 or 5 times now, it's still, I know what's coming, and it's still got me right there fully invested. And I just go back to, I hate to repeat myself, but I just think it's so much of the performance is what guides this movie, and it's just so great.
Yeah, and the writing, just the situation they put these characters in. I mean, you could say that like nothing's going on, it's slow, but it's the circumstances that they're in. Like this lady steps on a nail, like Marv from Home Alone.
Yeah,
but like, but like she can't.
Totally different reaction.
He yelled, but I think she was going through. She had labor pains too. She had labor pains. She had labor pains. A nail in her
whole
foot.
Scene makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, a nail in her foot, and that guy in the woods, I was thinking, like, what's the point of the scene? That bearded guy that started yelling, and I guess I thought about it, and I guess what the message was is a lot of people, they don't have the strength to keep going. That guy basically committed suicide. To me,
Right.
I feel like he couldn't do it anymore because I think his wife or
his wife
whoever he was with passed away.
Mhm.
He didn't want to be by
Right.
himself, so he just started screaming, and it just, again, it showed, it made you think of everything the family went through and how the family keeps going, and you know, they're and this lady's upstairs giving birth, and this old guy's just screaming in the woods.
Yeah.
So it's like
Right.
some people are going to give up, some people are going to keep
Right.
going, and that's like, to me, that's just great storytelling, you know.
Yeah.
So I would say I don't mind slow parts if there's good storytelling, and
I completely agree.
you know.
Yeah, and this is now finally when we get our first real look, I think, at this alien, this monster. What were you guys' thoughts on the creature design and the way the monster looked?
Resident Evil.
It reminded me of
It's
Stranger Things.
It's very very I don't even know what the thing is. Is it an alien? I don't know.
I think that's what it's supposed to be, but I'm not certain.
It looks very alien. It looks very Resident Evil to me. Like if you ever play the horror video, it looks like something I'd kill in a video game.
Yeah, you're right.
Or try to shoot at in a video game.
Yeah.
Just very I don't want to even look directly at it.
It's uncomfortable to look at. They did a good job with the creature design. Yeah.
I think so too.
It makes you want to look away. You don't want to look at it directly in the face. It's like, you know, the movements are so unpredictable with this thing. They can jump like it jumps like a frog almost. Like the movements are just so sporadic, and they're faster than humans. Like you can't outrun them.
Right.
I believe there was one scene where she was holding the baby, and it was like the thing was like right there. She's just like,
you
know. Oh man. So the creature should be a neck or a figure. That'd be cool.
It probably is. We just don't have it. Yeah.
I wonder. I was thinking that they need to, if they haven't, they need to. But yeah, I agree. I think it looks great. It is very uncomfortable to look at. They did an amazing job with it. And again, I go back to, it just blows my mind that these creature movements was actually something that, again, that we talked about earlier, that John Krasinski did. You know, that he did these movements so that they could then put that into the creature. So, but yeah, I think the creature looks great, and it's uncomfortable. You're right. You don't want to look at it. Like you want to look away. It looks pretty rough. And I think, Resident Evil, I've played a few of those games. I've seen some of those movies, so I can see that. And definitely the Stranger Things, just drew a blank on what it's called.
Demogorgon.
Yes, that's it. I think you're right. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of xenomorph in there.
Maybe, yeah.
Kind of a combo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of alien franchise going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they mixed it all up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then of course we do get to the scene where you know, she has the baby. He comes in and finds them. You know, he takes the baby and her, and they go under the floor in the barn. The alien enters there, and you know, we've got water pipes breaking. He goes off to try to find the other kids, and then we get the scene where you were talking about, where she's kind of hiding where the water is leaking, and she's trying to hide behind it with the baby. I've again here, not to just repeat things we've already said, but I think you still feel the tension. Again, I've seen this movie probably 4 or 5 times now, and I still feel the tension in that scene where they're hiding behind the water, and the alien's face is right there, almost like he's looking through it because he thinks they're there, and the baby's not really crying but making enough noise. I still think there's a lot of tension there. I just think it's so well done.
Oh, absolutely, because when she was holding the baby, I was watching the water fall on the baby, and I'm like, the baby's gonna cry. The baby's gonna cry.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
this is a pretty good baby.
Yeah, right? I was like, don't cry. It is so uncomfortable. Yeah, it makes you so tense. Oh,
yeah.
Meanwhile, we've got the other 2 kids. They are hiding on this corn silo. Marcus ends up falling through it, and it's kind of basically looks like he's drowning. I did not know this at the time. I don't know anything about corn silos, but apparently that's fairly realistic. It's almost like quicksand is what I was able to find out. If you're in there, the more you move, the more you sink. And so his sister's, trying to help him out, and then the door ends up falling there with them, and they kind of have a I don't know, for some reason that scene reminds me of Titanic, only it's a brother and sister instead of, the other two where they're trying to hold on to this thing.
Yeah.
She likes
That's true. I literally just rewatched it for the first time in like a couple years, like earlier this month. That's so funny.
I've been seeing a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio on my screen lately.
Got it.
That scene is like that, though. You're right.
Yeah, they have a little Titanic moment there, only it seems to be the other way around. Like he's safe on it and she's still struggling. But I mean, yeah. And we kind of, I missed a couple of things that I wanted to ask you guys about. So do you think with this hearing aid that, her dad had given her, and for a while in the movie, we don't really see her, she's telling him earlier in the film that it's not going to work. It never works. And then we finally get to a point where she's using it. And it seems to be the feedback from that hearing aid that's really hurting these monsters so much. It's hurting her, but it's hurting the monsters even more. Do you think she realized that at this point, or was it not until the very end that she picked up on that?
What, that it could be used as a weapon, or that her dad like built her one?
No, that it could be used as a weapon.
I think she found out in the silo. That's the first time. Well, is that the first time she used it?
Well, when the thing
second time
came up behind her, right? I think she might have realized it or had some kind of realization about it the first encounter she had when it made the really loud noise and the alien ran off. Right. I think that maybe she did have an idea that she could use it to protect
We were talking
them.
before if being deaf is like an advantage or disadvantage, but she used that hearing aid to her advantage. She was like,
yeah.
Not even knowing like if it's gonna kill a thing, but she's like at the very least I'm gonna piss it off.
Yeah, she knew it aggravated it, so she's like, let me just try.
She's like, if you're gonna kill me, I'm gonna make it like annoying for
painful for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's watching it this time, that's one of the things I was trying to figure out is when she picked up on that. Again, the first time she does it, I think, is when she's in the cornfield and the one is coming up behind her, and I don't think she realized what was happening then. She was it was starting to bother her. And so she was trying to fix it. And I don't think she realized the effect it had. But I was trying to figure out if she got it here, if this is where it at least started to make sense to her, that they could use this as a weapon. I was just, or if it's still, she was just messing with it because it was hurting her. I guess I was trying to figure that part out because I never was really sure on that. But
I think in the silo, she got a better result with it, I think. And then she was like, okay, because I think the third time around, she was like, here we go. And she was like ready to.
She knew what to do.
But I think, I think she was like, maybe that will do something. And then the corn place was definitely where she realized, okay, it does do something.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. Of course, the thing then takes off through the side of the silo to get away. The mom is now moved over to I think the basement area of the house where she's watching all of this on camera. The dad finds the kid. He sends them to his truck, and I think he gets an axe where he's going to try to fight one of these things. That doesn't necessarily go very well. And then we get to a scene that I still think is incredibly powerful, where you've got the monster attacking the kids in the truck. The dad realizing the only thing he can possibly do is sacrifice himself to save them, and so he does the sign language with his daughter that he's always loved her, and then he lets out the scream. I still think that is such a powerful scene. Again, having seen this movie multiple times, knowing it was coming, when I watched it the other night, as I see what's about to happen, I'm like, don't do it. Can't this be like a different version or something? Maybe did I find an unrated thing or something where it's not going to happen this way? It's so powerful. I think that's such a great scene. Sad scene, but a great scene.
Yeah,
I agree. It is very powerful. It makes your chest hurt because it's going to happen. But you do wish for something different, but it doesn't.
Well, it kind of goes back to also this character lost a child already. He's not going to let it happen again.
Right.
So I think he did what he had to do. So
yeah,
dude, it's a heavy scene though for sure. I was like, oh man, this is rough, especially when he's signing "I love you."
Yeah, that was so powerful.
Yeah.
Well, and having already lost one child, and then he and his wife have that conversation when that she's basically telling him like, who are we if we can't protect our children? And she tells him multiple times that he's got to protect them. And so I think it's just. Yeah, I'm a father. I have kids. Mine are grown now, but you'll do whatever it takes, to protect your kids. And so it's such a powerful scene. I'm sure it's powerful for anyone, but I think as a father myself, I'm like, that is such a strong scene. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's the same creature. They're only up against one of these things, right? It's not a different creature coming back each time.
I think there was multiple at the end.
Was it ever at the end? But I'm talking about like this family was
was it ever trying to figure that out as well, because on some of his notes back earlier on in the film when he's down there and he's doing the whole SOS thing and trying to get some help, one of his notes says that there are 3 in the area. I noticed that on his little whiteboard that he had back there. He's got it written down that there are 3 in the area. And I'm trying to decide then what was going on. Like, where were they? Had they battled different ones at different times? Was this still the same one that they were mainly having issues with until the very end? I was wondering that as well. I'm not sure if that was a different one at that point, because I don't recall. I mean, there's not a moment where any of them get killed, any of the creatures get killed prior to that. He tries to swing the axe, but he ends up getting hit, and hurt more than the thing does. So I don't know. Maybe this was the same creature until the very end of the film, or maybe it was another one that was roaming around out there. I don't really know. I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't.
Yeah.
Another touching scene was like soon after that, the daughter saw all the work that like the dad was doing, and that's where we see all the time he was spending just for her in particular, with her to help her hear better, or maybe he knew, hey, these might kill these things. Who knows? Maybe he knew, because he seemed to be doing his research on these things. So maybe he's like, I'm gonna make her a high-powered hearing aid. And she's gonna blow these fuckers down. Like, I don't know, maybe possibly, but soon after that, they're reunited with their mother. To see them back with their mother, that was kind of a good thing.
Touching,
But they're all in that basement. They're like cornered in a basement now, and it's like, oh, here we go again. It's like it's a little uneasy again. So
it doesn't give you long, even though it's such a powerful scene where the dad gets killed. It doesn't really give you long to dwell on it, because it just picks right back up. And I agree with you. I thought it was, she goes down there and she sees multiple hearing aids that he's tried to make to get things to work for her. And, she had gone apparently through part of the film wondering if he blamed her for the first child's death, and, did he even love her anymore? So not only has he just signed to her that he loves her before he was killed, but now she's seeing all this other stuff. And it continues to remain very powerful. And then we kind of get to the end here, where between her hearing aid and the microphone and the mom having the shotgun, they do end up finally killing the first creature, and then they're ready for more as they see on the camera that there's more approaching.
That mom was like Ash from Evil Dead or something. With that shotgun. He just like, I'm ready.
She was great. And I don't remember. I've seen the second one. I think I've only seen the second one once. I don't remember if it picks up from there or not, but I remember when I watched this in the theater and seeing that scene, and you see them being prepared as the other, aliens, or again, whatever they are approaching the house. I remember thinking right away, like, okay, there's going to be a sequel. I need to see more of this, because I was instantly wondering, like, okay, you've got a mom, she's got a shotgun, but how many bullets has she got? You've got this daughter who's using her hearing aid. The little boy who's been terrified the whole movie is holding the baby. I almost didn't want it to be over. I'm like, no, there's got to be more. Like, what are they going to do? So
you see the herd too.
Ending.
There was like a herd of creatures on their way to to the house, and so. But
it did feel really quick. The movie itself, they could have added another 30 minutes, and I think people would have still been very invested, because it is such a well-told story and so fast-paced.
Well, the daughter, she saw all the hearing aids that dad made for her, and she was like, how many ears does he think I have? There was like a pile of them. She's like, Dad, I have 2 ears, man. Come on.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that's where she learned how to use the microphone and the speakers to completely like blow this thing to hell. So so like, and the mom cocked the shotgun, like she was ready to fight too. So they were like, but
bring it.
It's been a while for me too, but I believe the sequel has the family in it. But
it does.
I knew it had the mom and the kids. I just couldn't remember where it picked up.
I think it picked up in a different part of town, right?
The baby's still little enough to fit in the oxygen box. Like, the baby's not walking or crawling around, so it had to have been only like a month later, or 2, even if it's a time jump.
Isn't it the same day, but it's a different part of town? Or
they're leaving. They leave the farm. I don't think it's safe anymore.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I think we've only seen the movie one time too. I think we watched it in theaters, and that was it.
And then there was part 3 with
we saw that once
the
too.
kid from Stranger Things.
Yeah, we saw that once.
Yeah,
and yeah,
I'm in the same boat. I've only seen the second one, I think, in theaters once, and then Quiet Place Day One, I saw that in the theater, but that's I haven't seen it again since either. So, yeah. Anything else before we kind of try to rate the movie? Anything else that either one of you want to say about it that we didn't cover, or any other thoughts or anything you want to share?
I don't think so.
No, just my overall thoughts, really. I think it was like really well done. I just think it was very familiar, but very like different. Like there's not like, it's a very unique story with like a similar setup of like a family in danger. There's a threat. That part's familiar, but this whole concept of creatures that we have no idea where they're coming from, what the rules are, what's exactly happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that to me is what sets this apart. And I never knew silence could be so scary, man.
Yeah.
I know. I completely agree. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think the story's fantastic. The performances are great. The film looks good. The creature design is amazing. I really like everything about this film. I can't think of anything really that I dislike. I mean, I hate the fact that the dad had to die and some things like that here and there, but the movie itself is absolutely incredible. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give A Quiet Place?
An 8.
Okay.
I think it's an 8. I think I would say 8. I think it's an 8.
I give it a 9.
Really?
9 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I think it's great, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and I try to reserve my 10s for like, I don't like to give 10s out all the time. So when I say 8 or 9, that means it's awesome. So,
no, I completely agree with you, and I've told people before. So we were talking earlier. I'm such a slasher guy that I'm like you. I don't want to give 10s out too much. And when I do finally give a 10, it's like a Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Scream. Those kind of things are what gets the 10s, because the slasher thing is my thing. But I think this is one of those movies that ranks right up there with those. I think for me, you said an 8, Kaylee, you said a 9. I think I would shoot maybe right in the middle. I'm going to say 8.5. I'll just go right in between there and do that. It's again, slashers are typically the 9s and 10s for me, but this is about as good as it can possibly be without being a slasher, I think, for me. So I really enjoyed this one as well, and I'm looking forward now, after watching it again a couple of days ago, to rewatching the second one, because again, I've only seen it once. I don't think I liked it as well as this one, but I think I still enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, I like all the
remember much about it.
I remember we liked it. I just can't remember what we rated it. We did a review, but it was like a few years ago on our channel.
I remember seeing the third one, day one, and I thought that was going to be the one where we got some answers about where these things come from, what's going on, how to fight back, because it would be great to have like a war where we know, everybody, it's like, get your hearing aids on, people. Yeah. Let's go. And it would just be great. And, but I remember I liked part 3, day one, but
it was good.
I left the theater thinking we still have no idea what the hell is going on. Like it wasn't really told to us. It might have been hinted at but I don't know what these things are. I don't know where they come from. We still don't know how to fight back. So it's like, I wanted some answers. By part 3, we should know what the enemy is. Really, we should know. We should have some answers yet. And I remember leaving thinking good movie, but I
still confused.
I still don't. I have no answers, and I don't. Will there be a fourth? Probably. There's supposed to be 5, right?
I'm not sure.
That's what I heard. I heard they're making 2 like at once. Unless I just made that up.
I don't know.
I knew there was going to be at least one more, and you might be right. They may have had set for 5. Now I haven't heard anything about when. I just knew that it was supposed to be in the works. I think one of the things that I remember liking about the third one was just that we got some different characters. I mean, it was great that the second one picked back up with the family, and we got to see them trying to go on. But I like the third one that we went someplace else with it, so we could see just how other people are being affected by this, these things as well. So I like the fact that we got some new characters in it and did something still the same but a little bit different as well.
Did they all take place simultaneously? Like part 3 and 2 might be a different part of town, but the same time.
No, part 3 was in the city in New York.
That's what I mean, but it might be happening around the same time.
I think it takes place as a first one, maybe. I'm not sure
because it's like different area, but I think this is how everybody's reacting to the same thing going on, like that day or that couple of days. It might be around the same time.
It could be. And the only thing I really remember a whole lot about that second one is I think the second one starts off by giving us more of an idea of how it started. I think we get some of that in the beginning of the second one. It's kind of the beginning of this attack from these things, because I feel like I remember something about a baseball game or something, like parents being at like a kid's baseball game or something, and then these things start attacking. Yeah, I kind of remember that a little bit, but yeah, I'm looking forward to going back and rewatching that one now after this. Yeah, if you guys don't have anything else to add, let me just say again, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate you guys joining me for this. It's been a lot of fun, so thank you.
It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. We had a great time.
I thought it was a good discussion.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I think so.
We made some good points. I feel like we got some good details about this conversation, and
yeah, I think so too. So what can people, this episode will be coming out on the 23rd. We're recording kind of a week ahead of time, but just with the schedule. So next Monday is when this episode will drop on my YouTube channel. What do you guys have coming up at That Horror Couple that people can be looking forward to?
Well, if it's Monday the 23rd, then we will have dropped our 28 years later review. Can't talk. Okay. Review over the weekend. So make sure you're checking that out.
Yeah, and we'll probably add some more to our members page. I'm thinking, and like
catching up on The Walking Dead, Dead City.
Yeah, whichever going on, we try to stay on top of, and so just check us out, please. We appreciate everybody that's been supporting us so far, and so please check us out. Hit the thumbs up
and subscribe,
and please check us out.
Well, again, I feel like anybody that is watching my channel has probably already heard of you guys, but if not, then yes, definitely go look them up, give them a follow, become a member. I'm going to do so as soon as we wrap this up. I'm going to go become a member. So,
thank you.
Definitely reach out.
Oh, no, you're very welcome. But yeah, thanks again for coming on. As far as my channel, after this episode drops, I'll be having a episode come out on George Romero's Land of the Dead. Nice. That will be a little later in this week. And then the following week, I have episodes coming up on the original Poltergeist and then Crawl. I absolutely love the movie Crawl.
The Gator film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Gator film. So that's what I've got coming up here. And yeah, just thank you all so much. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there. Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, all of it. And you can find it just by searching Sean's Horror Corner. I try to follow back as much as possible, as long as you look like a real person and not a bot. I do try to avoid those. But yeah, again, thank you both so much, Rob, Kaylee, for coming on. Thank everybody for watching, and I will see you soon.